Hello and welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you're coming in. Thank you for joining us with the Security Copilot and Intune session. We have an AMA. We have four of our favorite guests here to talk to you today and answer your questions. I'd like to kick it off by introducing myself, DC Tardy. I am on the Intune CAT team, and I'm a senior product manager on the team. Let me kick it over to Lavanya Lakshman.
Thanks, DTC. I'm Lavanya. I'm one of the principal product managers on the Intune team leading the Copilot Core platform, and I'm passing on to Roshan.
Hello, everybody. This is Roshan Komusetti. I'm an engineering manager in Intune, working on Copilot. Over to you, Ankur.
Hey everyone, I'm Ankur Goyal, another product manager in the Copilot in Intune capability stream. Amit, take it over.
Hey folks, this is Amit Godke. I'm a product manager architect on the Intune team, very specifically in the Intune customer engineering team.
All right, thanks everyone. I look forward to talking to you today. We have a first question just to kind of get us kicked off here. And I just want to ask the team here, what exactly does Security Copilot do inside of Intune? Lavanya, would you take that?
Sure. Great question. Here is the way I would describe it. Security Copilot is kind of the platform on which the AI capabilities within Intune has been built. And the beauty about this platform is it kind of serves as a platform across several of the Microsoft products, including Entra, Purview, Defender, along with Intune. So that's kind of in a nutshell what Security Copilot in Intune means.
Thank you, Lavanya. I have another question. How do I know if Copilot is enabled in my tenant? Amit, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. That's very, very easy. There are a few ways that you can actually see if Copilot Intune is enabled in your tenant. The instant and immediate method is looking for the Copilot moniker just up on top and using the chat option to ask questions. The other option is to be able to go to the tenant administration plane, and then you would be able to use to look at the Copilot experience there, and then you would see that it has been enabled. You can also leverage one of the experiences in Copilot Intune that will essentially help you see whether you can execute or use Copilot scenarios or not. So those are telltale signs that instantly help you understand if it has been enabled or not.
Thanks, Amit. As you can see here, we've got a link on the screen for you to take a look at the Copilot information at aka.ms/Intune Copilot Overview. Go there and you can take a look at information that's provided. We have another question. Another question is, how does Security Copilot pull data from Intune? What permissions does it use? Ankur, maybe you can talk to that.
Yeah, so the way I would think about this from a Security Copilot standpoint is the permissions that Security Copilot has to pull data leverages the permissions that you as a user has. So we're not giving Security Copilot any permissions that you don't have. We're not giving it access to any data that you don't have. So even though you might try to ask a question or try to get data from Security Copilot that is outside the boundary of what you can see within Intune, Security Copilot would not. So it only has access to the data that you can see and view inside Intune that you specifically have permissions to.
Thank you, Ankur. We now have a question from Jason on Tech Community. Are there any plans to increase the file size limit in the policy configuration agent? Roshan.
Hey, thanks, DC. There are plans, but I'd say stay tuned, and we are thinking about this, and we might come back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Roshan. We have another question. Can Security Copilot help me write or troubleshoot Intune Policies. Who would like to take that one?
I can take that one. Yeah, absolutely. It's with Security Copilot, very specifically with Copilot Intune experiences, we have fairly new agent that we have released. It's called the Policy Configuration Agent, which stands in the public preview experience right now. And it is exactly meant to help you create policies using natural language expression. So from a policy creation perspective, you can leverage the policy configuration agent and learn and understand creation of policies. From a troubleshooting standpoint, you can leverage the Copilot and Intune experiences and, in fact, even the Explorer experiences for navigating through various different policy scenarios.
Ankur, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, so I'll elaborate slightly on what Amit just said from so the question was, can Security Copilot help me write or troubleshoot Intune policies? And Amit talked about the writing piece, which is using our policy agent that's out there. Within Security Copilot and Intune, you also have chat capability. And we've got specific set of prompts that you can use to troubleshoot Intune policies. So as you start typing around a policy question, you'll get a list of prompts that might look something like, hey, summarize an Intune policy, or show me the impact of this policy on security, show me the impact of this policy on users. So you can select those prompts from a chat experience and start digging into the Intune policies as well.
Ankur, I think you really started explaining this next question there. You could expand on it maybe a little bit more. Can you provide a few examples of how I should use this inside existing workflows?
Sure, absolutely. So there's a couple of different ways I would think about this within your existing workflow. The intention of Security Copilot is not that we take you out of your workflow and give you a completely new way of doing things. The intention is that whatever you're doing, you can use Security Copilot within your workflow. And if you remember Amit talking about seeing or seeing how you know if you've got Security Copilot, if you go on the Copilot moniker on the top ribbon inside Intune portal, that's your way to access Security Copilot chat. So within your workflow, whatever you're doing within Intune, you can access Security Copilot chat and start asking the questions that pertain to whatever you're trying to do within that workflow. So you can troubleshoot a device, you can manage policies, you can look at privilege management and see if a request needs to be approved, or ask questions that pertain to creating data views and exploring those data views. So the intention is that it's really available within the workflow, and we're not forcing you outside of your workflow to use Security Copilot.
Wow, I'm really starting to see how all of this is coming together to provide make my job easier as an Intune administrator. Thanks, Ankur. Lavanya, I want to understand how accurate and reliable are the recommendations that these agents offer, and are they customized to my tenant?
Great question. So there are a couple of ways to think about it, because when we say accuracy, reliability, it's very high level, and it kind of encompasses the broader spectrum. But kind of going specific to the first question and who can access, this was more question related to RBAC, which is the role-based access control, kind of teeing that back into this question. The user, the tenant, and the persona plays a very key role in terms of what data is accessible for the LLMs behind the scene to process, right? So that doesn't go away, which is where, to your point, in terms of the recommendation or the suggestion, it is based on what data is accessible, and also post-processing, what the output looks like is super customized to the user who's actually asked those questions, right? So which is where the prompt engineering becomes becomes very nuanced in terms of how accurate the response is. Now, there are multiple ways to look at this. We do what is called as grading, and this grading is a process where we look at the response and then we go back and map that to the results that we have for some of these skills or the prompts that we have written, and then do the comparison, right? So which is a process of, in some form or shape, some kind of an benchmarking that commonly is fairly familiar to the outside world that we do. We tag the response and then we go back and keep iterating, which is the hard work that Roshan's team here does, where once we provide the response and we say, oh, you know what, when we are running this prompt against the skill, it's not working as expected, or this is where it's hallucinating. That's where the feedback that our customers provide becomes so critical, where we kind of take that feedback, go back and do the comparison, and then iterate on to ensure that the efficacy or the accuracy kind of keeps improving over a period of time.
Thanks, Lavanya. That's a great explanation there. That's very helpful. Roshan, I have a question from Uday on LinkedIn. Which Entra ID role and license are required to use the features in Security Copilot?
Thanks, DC. Main roles, at least from Intune side, will be the Intune administrator. So if you are an Intune administrator and you are an IT administrator who has the Intune administration Entra role, you should automatically have owner access on Security Copilot scenarios. If you are a global administrator or a security administrator, you also will have access to then give access to other people as a Copilot contributor who can then access Security Copilot features. There should be many multiple other roles in Entra that help you as an owner or a contributor that you can leverage Security Copilot. I do see the aka.ms link that is shown on the video link here. That will help you provide this information. Thank you, DC.
Thanks, Roshan. Yes, Uday, go to aka.ms/security copilot M365, and that'll help you understand the roles and licensing requirements.
DC, if I can add a little more, because in several forums we've got questions on these roles and what is supported. I think Roshan really enlightened everybody on the Intune administrator role along with global admin and security admin. But I think one key aspect where customers have come back and asked us is what is the way in which the other Intune Entra roles can also be part of the workspace contributor construct, right? So those are some of the things that we are at the moment actively brainstorming and working from a design and an architecture perspective. Hopefully we should have something soon to share with our customers, because this feedback has come through several channels, and also from our MVP customers, our design partners. So we are actively working on this, right, to kind of make this easy and not really have them to go explicitly add members to a given group. That becomes a tedious process. So just wanted to add that additional color there.
Thanks. It's good to know that we're looking at all of this information so that it can help expand the capabilities there. Thanks, Lavanya. Amit, I have a question for you about agents. Do Intune agents need secure compute units, or SCUs as we call them internally?
Great question, DC, and thanks for asking the SCU related question. Something to know from a usage perspective is all of the Copilot Intune capabilities, or rather Security Copilot capabilities behind the scene leverage the security compute units. And these are ways, these are constructs that help the AI capabilities essentially shine and power through. So short answer, yes. The Intune agents that are executing do need SCUs to be available in the tenant, which essentially powers the Security Copilot platform. And the next question would be then, how much SCUs are they consuming, and how many SCUs do I need, etc. These are typical questions that pop up. So from a usage standpoint, I'm just going to answer that right over here. You would be able to find the usage in the usage monitoring dashboard on securitycopilot.microsoft.com, and the usage that we have seen so far is very minuscule. Of course, it may vary for different scenarios depending upon the amount of work that you do through that agent, but rest assured, the amount that we have seen generally on an average is extremely minuscule.
Thank you, Amit. Ankur, I have a question for you. So from Ashok on LinkedIn, can Security Copilot help identify why a device is non-compliant and suggest fixes?
I think that's a great question, Ashok. So we provide capabilities to help troubleshoot a device, and that constitute things like summarizing your device or comparing a device which might be a non-compliant device with another device that is compliant for you to look into and understand what's really happening. Specifically to say, can you ask a question that says, hey, tell me why is this device non-compliant and how do I fix it? We're working on, we're investigating how to give you that capability directly. So it's not there today where Copilot can just say, hey, here's why, here's what what you can do to fix it, or here's where you go and update these settings or update these policies. But that's something that's currently under investigation.
Thanks, Ankur. It's great to hear we're investigating this. It's going to make all of the admins' jobs much easier. Just a proof that we're really investing in this heavily and wanting to make a Security Copilot and Intune a really good decision for you to be able to use that on a regular basis. I have another question from Tech Community. Will Intune agents be able to update the applications in my environment automatically based on vulnerabilities and new releases from the vendor? Let's see. Lavanya, would you like to take that one?
Sure. I can take this, and probably Amit, you can also add some color. The way today the vulnerability remediation agent works is, yes, we do have some suggestions or the recommendation in terms of what really needs to happen, which could also mean an application update. But at the moment, we do not really go ahead and do anything automatic behind the scenes and then notify the admins, right? There is still that process of where the admin needs to come, look at all the suggestions based on the runs that we have of the agent itself, and then they need to approve and take some actions. Again, Amit, you can keep me honest here, because one of the feedback that we have got from admins and customers is don't make changes, especially in some of the environments. They would like to have that control, which is where these automatic schedule runs is something that we have been more intentional about. Schedule run of the application is something that we are actively thinking about, but in terms of the remediation is the path that I'm explicitly calling out, that there are steps that the admins would need to take to ensure that we are not having any kind of adversarial effect on the ecosystem. As an example, healthcare would be one of those industries where I do not want to go run something, but those are some of the specific areas where we are thinking about how, as an example, the Windows hot patching experience can kind of play a key role, right? So there are connection points, but it is not fully hands off, and there are significant changes that happens to the ecosystem, right? More in terms of the tenant endpoints itself. Amit, feel free to chime in here.
Thank you, Lavanya. No, great start. You're absolutely right, Lavanya, there. And to highlight specifically, we have the agent under discussion is the Intune Vulnerability Remediation Agent, which essentially today is in a gated public preview. But the core construct of that agent is to be able to summarize the vulnerabilities that are happening in the environment by leveraging our Defender platform, and help the IT administrator make the correlations across the Intune devices and what it does is not only summarizes and gives you a prioritized list of the suggestions that highlight the vulnerabilities and the associated devices along with the application, it also provides you with suggested next steps on what updates or what policies need to be created. And like Lavanya was mentioning, most of the administrators want to have a level of control to make sure that we are not automatically updating the applications or mitigating specific scenarios without human in loop. Having said that, we've had feedback around providing a level of automated remediation. So like Lavanya was saying, we are investigating and we are working on bringing a assisted layer of remediation for some of these suggestions where the admins would be able to then take actions and update the apps.
Thanks, Amit. I've got a couple of questions, but I want to start with one for Roshan on from Curtis on LinkedIn. For the reports, wouldn't Purview and Sentinel provide that type of information in the device reports? And I think he's talking about comparing devices and being able to understand the differences there.
Thank you, DC. Yes, it does, but if you actually try and leverage the skill that Intune provides, right? Like, say there is a device that you know that, like, hey, I know, for example, conditional access is blocked on a particular device. You are using some policies, and you're thinking that, like, hey, I'm trying to connect a USB device onto this machine, but it is not working. So you want to understand what might be the reasons. What is the policy that is actually hampering from that happening, right? So you can try and compare policies that are on both the devices. You can select configuration policies that are on both devices, and what Copilot, the power of Copilot can help you do is try and see, hey, what are the policies that are only applicable to this device but are not currently on the other device, which will help you get a general criteria and understanding on these might be the reasons, or these might be the policies that are actually like hampering you. So we go to a very detailed level in providing that comparison, and that's what will really help you. Thank you.
Thanks for comparing those devices, and I think also I may have conflated some information here around the Purview and Sentinel reports too. Ankur, what kind of reporting do we provide that will help? That maybe you don't have to go to Purview and Sentinel. Maybe you could help us there.
Yeah, so one of the capabilities that we went GA with last year is called Explorer. And Explorer is really that capability which is intended for you to build sort of custom reports, custom data sets. So it's still based off of a set of prompt library, a prompt library. So enter your natural language question and we'll give you a set of prompts that we have in our library and try to match to what you're typing. But then you can select the variables and get the actual report that you're looking for. And that really represents, think of it as if you have a question about Intune objects where you're looking to get a set of data. It's not sort of a written summary, but it's a set of data. So give me a list of devices based on different conditions. Give me a list of policies. Give me a list of apps or app protection policies. So if you've got those kind of questions, then Explorer is really your best friend there. Go into Explorer, ask that question, and you're going to get the data you're looking for. And from there, you can really customize that data set. You can apply filters, add and remove columns, and really export that data if you need to perform additional sort of enhancements or pivot tables or anything of that sort. But you can also from there add those devices or those users to a set of groups and take actions there. So it's not really something where we would say, hey, go into these different products, into Defender or Entra. You can ask those questions right within Intune and get your list of objects that you're looking for.
Thanks, Ankur. Lavanya, I'll leave this last one for you. If I'm new to this, where do I start using Security Copilot in Intune? How can I get going?
Great question. And because this is the last question, I want to ensure that it's one comprehensive and addresses what the person is looking for. So two things, depending on the role that you play. If you are an Intune admin role that you're playing, then the best place to start is on the Security Copilot portal, which is what we typically call the standalone portal, where you go and depending on your Azure subscription, you will need to ensure that you're allocating compute units for your environment, and also ensure, I'm re-emphasizing this, please ensure that you are enabling the Intune plugin. Once you enable the Intune plugin and you come to the portal that you're familiar, which is the Intune portal, you will be able to see the Copilot icon on the top right-hand corner, and then the Explorer and Agent capabilities on the navigation on the left side. Again, a few things to be extremely mindful is, if the provisioning is something that you do not have access to, then this is something that you will potentially need to work with your security admin, depending on how your organization works. But for if you do have all the right permissions and privileges in your organization, then once you have that set up on the standalone portal and allocated the SCUs depending on what works for you, then you come and then you can start playing around with the AI capabilities. Just teeing it back real quick to one of the points that Amit made is the usage dashboard on the standalone portal will be a great place for you to go check on how the usage of the Intune capabilities and the number of SEUs that is consumed. Again, there is no one size fits all. Depending on the prompts and the questions that you're going to ask, the compute units are going to vary, but at least it'll give you over a period of time a fair idea of what SCUs you need to allocate per hour, and then kind of make the needed adjustments on an ongoing basis. I hope that helps, DC. And one another thing that I did want to call out before I hand this off to you is, if there is more feedback, there was a link that we did share on the screen, which is aka.ms/Intune feedback. Again, it's showing up on the screen now. Please do send feedback on this link so that we can process it and ensure that we're constantly listening into what you're looking for in our product, and we'll continue to evolve on that. Again, we get excited to build something that really matters most to our customers. So please, please, please keep sending your feedback our way, and we love to iterate over it. Back to you, DC.
Yes, I want to thank everybody who joined us today. We really thrive on your feedback. We look at it intently and we look to incorporate what you tell us. Thanks again for joining today. And I just want to tell you what's coming up next. If you want to join the Manage Apple Devices at Scale using Intune security best practices, and you can always take a look at the schedule at aka.ms/tech takeoff. And I really appreciate y'all coming. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you very much.
Bye.